and God has opened up a door for Madea to now go to the big screen. And I know you're doing all right, because I saw that big old phantom outside when ain't that a car? That's a car. And I just want to appreciate the fact that you are somebody that got it honest, that is blessing the nation, blessing people. And if you've never seen any of Madea's plays, you need to visit the website, because I'm telling you, it is going to bless you. It is going to bless you. It's going to make you really, really laugh and forget about some of the stuff that you're going through. Now, I want you, Tyler, because I know this is like impromptu, and you know, we usually have a song here and all of this, but I want you to tell us how you met my next guest, how you met Michael, because I mean, he is amazing. He is absolutely.
We were on tour, and I would notice, like, when we get on the bus, he'd just sit in the bus, on the back of the bus, and kind of stay to himself. And I'm not exactly sure how we met. I think my musical director brought him. He's now my musical director, but I think the musical director brought him into the band.
Okay.
And what happened was, I remember him sitting in the back of the bus one day, and I'll never forget this day, because he had a shirt on with his family on it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it said in loving memory or not, but I asked him about it. Mm-hmm. And he told me the story, and my heart immediately went out to him, because you never know. You never know what people are going through. You right. never, I mean, you look, but when you've got the Spirit of God in you, it'll let you know that you need to say something or minister to somebody or be an encourager to them. And that's how we met. And that's how that first conversation told me, you know, a lot of things that were going on with him.
You know what? We're getting ready to welcome Michael in a minute, but I just really feel like if you know somebody right now that's going through a moment of bereavement, and they're in a position where they can't seem to give it to God, because I'm not saying that you have to forget it, because you'll never forget it. When my aunt and one of my cousins, my family is probably watching, and you know, we can't even hardly talk about it. You know, we can't hardly even call my aunt's name without somebody just break down crying, and that's been over 20 years.
Wow.
But she was shot and killed along with her son. We had a double funeral, and my family has never gotten over it. And so you never get over it. And we're not coming tonight saying to you that you'll get over it. What we're saying to you is that you need to take on the strength of the Lord to come through it. And amen, somebody. You need to understand that you're not alone, and the Lord hasn't forsaken you. And that you have to always remember this. If you don't remember anything else before this program is over, there's always somebody else that's much worse off than you.
That's the truth.
You have to choose to bless the Lord through it, because some things that you go through, only praise is going to help you to digest it. Praise is going to be the thing that's going to help you to get through it. And you got to learn how to magnify the Lord. So without any further delays, I'd like for TBN to help me welcome this awesome man of God. Not a bishop, no big titles, but I promise you he's a young man that have found the Lord and know the Lord. Please help me to welcome to TBN Brother Michael Frazier in his story, Surviving the Storm. Okay, I don't even know where to start, but I'll start with this. When I went to see the Browns, and Tyler introduced me to you, Michael, I was standing in the hallway, and so much was going on behind the scenes. You know, we were taking pictures, and people were laughing and talking, and when somebody whispered in my ear, and Tyler said, "Have you met him?" And I said, "No." He introduced me to, and he leaned over and said, "This young man lost his whole family at one time." And I was zoned, because I was looking at a person that had the most kind and pleasant spirit about him. I was looking at a person that was just blanketed with the spirit of peace. And at that moment, you were somebody that I needed to know. And I felt like the TBN family needed to be introduced to you. So, Michael, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you begin, he is the music director for Tyler Perry's plays. Why don't you begin by telling us the incident of your story?
First of all, I would just like to thank God for being here.
Amen.
I appreciate you. I thank God for giving me this opportunity. I know many people don't get opportunities like this, so I uplift the name of God for that, and I don't take it for granted.
Amen.
May 5th, 1995, me and my family, we were on our way to get something to eat. Every weekend, I was very close to my mom and dad, and every weekend we would go out to eat. And this particular weekend, it was a Friday, and we were on our way to get something to eat and cross the bridge. It was raining outside, and we drove into a flooded bridge. Didn't know it was at night, and the water stalled the car. And before we could get out, the car was flipped over into a creek, and it drowned everybody in the car except for myself.
Now,
my mom was in the car, my dad was in the car, my 2-year-old daughter was in the car, my daughter's mother was in the car, and my nephew. And I came out without a scratch. And at the time, I remember the car hitting the bottom of the creek. And I remember saying to myself, my life is over. And I said, but at least I'm with my mom. I'm with my dad. I'm gonna die with my family. What a way to go. We're all gonna go together. And some kind of way, I got out of the car. And I remember being rushed down the stream. It was like Niagara Falls. I had never seen anything like it. And some kind of way I got out of the car and I was able to catch on to a tree. And I held on to that tree for about 45 minutes to an hour before rescue units could get to me. And I remember when I got off the tree, I fell to my knees and all I could tell them was, go find my family. I don't know where my mom, my 2-year-old baby, go find her. And about 20 minutes later, they came back and they said, it's nothing we can do. The water is too high. We can't look for them right now. We have other calls to go on. And I told the people that was in the neighborhood, I said, take me home. And I got on the phone and I called family members. We went back out. And when we got there, they started finding bodies. And everybody passed except for myself. But God is still God, no matter what. And I can honestly say, from that day, up until this point, I haven't always said God was God. I didn't always want to hear about God. I knew God, but I remember I walked myself into the emergency room that night with a pastor friend of mine, and I remember looking at him crying, holding his hand, and I said, what am I going to do? And he said, Mike, all I can tell you is God will be there for you. And at the time, that wasn't what I needed to hear.
Yes.
And I didn't understand.
Thank you, Jesus.
And months later, I thought about committing suicide. I couldn't sleep. I would take sleeping pills to sleep, and I was basically sleeping my life away. And a couple of years later, Bishop Jakes moved to Dallas, and I began playing at his church. And he preached a sermon called Forever the Victim, I Don't Think So.
My God.
And the last night of that message, he called me out and he prayed for me. And he told me, he said, God, your instrument, your gift was a setup to get you in the church. And he said, you have something to live for. And after that, I started thinking, I said, you know, maybe I am here for a reason. And I said, you know, how can I help people? And I prayed, and God said, I want you to go and tell my people, if I pull you out of your situation,
my God,
I can pull them out of anything.
I can honestly say that I've seen him in situations where people have. There was a lady in Texas who lost her.
Atlanta, actually.
In Atlanta. She lost her family. And, well, she was driving through Texas, though, at the time. She was driving through Texas. She lost her family. And he was right there to counsel her through it, to help. You know, when you've gone through something like that and you come out with a testimony, just to let somebody else know that you can make it.
Yes.
That is God.
Yes.
That is God. God will use people to help other people get through.
When you were dealing with that, what was that like? Because I want to go back to something. If you can try to explain, what was it like when you got to the point of realizing that everybody was gone at one time? I'm looking at you, and I can only imagine in my mind that can be compared to what Jesus felt like when his father had to turn his back on him, where you feel completely forsaken. What was that like, and how long did it take you to come out of that pit?
Remember this, and I'll come back to this, but his strength is made perfect in our weakness. Now, little did I know that. I didn't know that at the time. When we funeralized my mom, dad, and nephew on a Saturday. I woke up Sunday morning, which was Mother's Day, flew to Arkansas and funeralized my little girl and her mom. And so I'm walking in and at my mom's funeral, and they land before me 3 coffins, and my mom and dad is, sitting there, lying there in front of me, and I think I was numb. I wasn't crying. I didn't know why I wasn't crying. But little did I know, people, they was watching me. And you have to be careful, because you never know when people are watching you. And after that, after the funeral, a young lady came to me, and she said, Mike, you don't know who I am. She said, but I came to your mom's wake and to their funeral. She said, my plans was to pay my respects to them, and I was going to go home and I was going to kill myself. She said, but I watched you. And she said, after that, I turned my life over to God, and I'm still here. And at the time of going through and losing everybody, I was devastated. I was lonely. I was hurt. It was like it was a twilight zone. I said, what is going on? I said, God, I know they say you won't put any more on me than I can bear, but what is going? This had to be a mistake. How do somebody lose your mom, dad, and daughter? I lost my present family and my future family.
Wow. And
I didn't know what I was going to do. My family that was living, some of my relatives, they came to me and said, couldn't you have saved somebody? And I said, wow. And some of them I don't even hear from. Some I do.
Turn their back on.
But it's okay. And I said, God, some of my friends walked away.
Wow.
And that was the time that my phone stopped ringing. Now, during the time of the accident, everybody was around. But after I buried my mom and dad, the phone calls stopped. The visits stopped. And I found myself at my home by myself. And I prayed and I said, God, I don't understand. And I said, what's going on? He said, to be elevated, you got to be separated.
Jesus!
Yeah.
And I started smiling when he said that, because I realized where God was about to take me, I can't take everybody with me.
That's right.
And I don't want to take everybody with me, because when you get on a certain level, people start tripping.
That's right.
And I don't want fake people around me.
My God.
And so God let me know I'm removing these people, because where I'm about to take you, you can't take them with you. They're not going to understand. And there was people, you know, used to come into my life and they would say, I just don't understand you. You ain't been through what I done been through, so you're not going to understand me.
Wow.
And so I began traveling with Tyler, and I remember that conversation that we had on the bus. He told me, he said, I'm going to try to keep you out on the road and keep you going as much as possible. Yeah. And here I am now. I wrote a book.
How did this, And I see that you recently wrote this book, so that tells me that the Lord had taken you to a certain level that you weren't trying to really take advantage of your circumstance.
Right.
You know, and use it as a time of manipulation just to sell something, but for it to be, you know, years past. And I believe that you probably, and I don't want to just sit here and act like I'm speaking for you, but until you've survived it, not just survived burying your parents,
right,
not just survived burying your daughter and your nephew and your fiance, but when you've survived it in your spirit, and your spirit has come through it, then it becomes the power of a testimony.
Exactly.
And that's what I believe this is.
It is.
That's what I believe this is. When you begin to write this, did you ever have any moments where it was difficult to finish writing it? Or because I started reading it and, you know, I was just a blubbering mess, and I was so tired that night. I was like, I just can't just keep crying like this. But in the midst of me shedding tears about it, yet I can just sense such the strength of the Lord through every page. And it is a tool that I would highly recommend anybody that's watching tonight, that's ever lost anybody and ever felt like, I don't think I can survive the storm. Here's a person, and we were upstairs kind of chuckling about your title, and I said, this ain't no storm, this is a hurricane or something. This right here, you know, I said, this is the wrong title, Surviving the Hurricane. This is bigger than a storm, but the title doesn't even do it justice, because seeing you sit here tonight says to me that Christ lives. It says to me that he was born. And anybody that tries to convince me that Christ was not born, I will call them a liar, because now you have made Christ being born, you have authenticated the fact that Christianity is a reality and not a fantasy. Because there is no way that you can sit here with the peace of God on you and go through what you have been through. That's right. And survive it and still wearing a smile and live to tell it.
And let me tell you something. The smile that you see on my face is not fake. And one thing that I can tell people about the story, I'm not bitter about what I went through.
Wow.
I thank God for going through. Wow. Because it's a testimony, and I can stand here and tell you I have a testimony. You know why? Because I've been tested. That was a test, and it was a test of my faith. Wow. And now, when trials and tribulations come, I don't trip and say, watch my God. Watch him. And he might not come. He might not come when you want him. I used to hear my grandmother say, I thank God for my grandparents and my mom and dad. I come from a Christian home.
Wow.
And so I used to hear my grandmother say, you know, son, he might not come when you want him, but he's right on time. I've lived that. Wow. I've lived that. And I thank God, and I take no credit, because Mike, Mike, I wanted to take myself out. And that's why I named it Surviving the Storm, Finding Life After Death, because I had to allow my flesh to die. And I had to find God, and he brought me through this.
Last quick point and last quick question, because I just picked up somebody in the spirit that's watching. I picked up that person that still haven't gotten over the guilt of feeling like maybe there was something that I could have done, carrying that guilt. Give that person some hope about that.
God doesn't make any mistakes. God is God. Yeah. And he has everything under control. No matter what you're going through. It's not your fault.
That's it.
It's not your fault. It happened. And it was so happens. It happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm here. I'm here, like you said earlier. I'm not a bishop. I'm not a big name person. But because God heard your cry, He had you to come to New York to meet me.
Right.
And little did I know I would end up here.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm here to tell you, if God brought me through, I was feeling guilty. I thought it was something that I could have done. But God, do not make any mistakes. It's not your fault. And you have been left here for a reason.
My God.
And it's to minister to someone else that have gone through death.
Yeah.
And I have a website, Surviving the Storm. And go to my website.
I was just getting ready to tell people, you need to get this book. If you're watching tonight, you need to go to his website. And what a website, www.survivingthestorm.com. And you need to pick up this book. I have not been afforded the opportunity to listen to this CD, but anybody that's been through the kind of storm you've been through, I know that this was written under the anointing. And you need to go to his website.
I wrote it the second night. After my mom's accident, God gave me that song, Hold On.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
If you watching tonight, that is the word of the Lord to you tonight, is to hold on. And Tam is coming in a few minutes. As a matter of fact, she can come right now because I want you to know, without a shadow of a doubt, you're looking at people tonight. Let me just say this as she comes. You're looking at people tonight, myself, Tyler Perry, Mike Frazier, who we can be depressed too.
Yes.
And we can think about all the things that we've been through and all the people that we've lost and all the people that have turned their backs on us. And we can choose this time and this season to murmur and complain. But the Bible said, I will bless the Lord at all times.
That's right.
For his praises shall continually be in my mouth. I will make my boast in the Lord. I will offer up to him a sacrifice of praise. And what is a sacrifice of praise? My sacrifice of praise says this: in spite of what I'm going through, I'm going to keep on bringing my praise to the Lord.
Yes.
Because when I praise him, when I praise him in the midst of what I'm going through, what I am saying to the Lord is that I trust your decision.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all, the Bible said, listen,
Come on.
he knows the way that I take. And when he has tried me, I shall come out as pure gold. I know that no weapon that's formed against me shall prosper. It'll be formed, but it will not prosper. Because I know that when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Almighty God will lift up a standard against him.
That's right.
I want you to know tonight, from all of us sitting here, to you that are sitting out there, everything is going to be all right.
Yes.
It may not look like it right now, but the darkest hour is just before day. Before Tim comes to sing this song, I want to remind you that the Bible said when Paul and Silas was locked up in prison at midnight,
Yes, they did.
they began to pray and sing praises to God. Because they knew that the morning was coming.
Right.
So while you're sitting there, I want you to shake yourself, and I want you to tell the devil tonight, I want you to tell him that what he tried didn't work, and that all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord, and to those that are called according to his purpose.
Right.